Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this live session on DataRobot Pathfinder. My name is Robin Johnson. I'm a Vice President of Product Special Initiatives here, and I'm really excited to share with you a little bit of Pathfinder, basically how to get started in AI, the simplest way to get started, and a little bit also about why this matters, personally to me, and why this makes sense to me. Before we jump into that, though, I would love for this to be interactive. If you're in chat now, introduce yourself. Maybe say, where you're sitting right now, country, city, whatever, nothing specific. And maybe what you see out the window. I don't know, is it pouring rain? Is it a tornado? But feel free to share anything. And in true AI ML fashion, would love for you to intelligently categorize yourself. So are you a good in a room? Are you an executive? Are you an analyst? Are you an AI god? How would you describe yourself in terms of your expertise in data science and in general using AI ML? So please leave a message in the comments and we'll get to any questions. So jumping into why this is important, I need to give a little bit of history about my career. So I got my start in video games, pretty much, at least on the surface, the farthest from AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning you can get, at least at the time. And we were making these massively multiplayer online games, and we were constantly in a struggle, not only to increase top of funnel, but of course, keep people active in the game, like, reduce churn ultimately. We didn't really call it churn reduction. We didn't have an AI model. We didn't even have, any AI insights. We were just looking at the data, trying to make sense of it, and then making little micro adjustments to keep people there day over day, week after week, month after month. And it was fun. It was a game at the end of the day, but games are business, right? You're trying to make make them ultimately pay your monthly or stay in and actually succeed. And so this was really difficult for me. And the idea in this team to even at the time, like to bring in a data scientist and to start like modeling based on our data was this huge gap of like, no, there's no way we can do this. We're working in Unity and Unreal Engine, and like there's a complete disconnect. And I feel like that's not too far, 15 years later, it's not that far from a lot of places where we are today, where people feel at least that there's a disconnect between what they're trying to do, reduce churn in their business unit, or solve some problem where they have data on. But like getting into AI is like, okay, let's form a whole team, let's hire a bunch of data scientists, let's figure out how this fits in. And that's exactly why I'm excited about this, because not only does Pathfinder allow people like you and me to get into this super easily, where it's like just seamless and simple, but also DataRobot's AI Cloud is exactly what we're trying to solve, this idea that if you need AI, we can go there, plug into your situation, and pretty much plug and play. In hours, not months, you can have a model in production that is actually giving you AI insights and solving your problem. So that's a little bit about where I connect here, and let's transition to the screen sharing where we can talk a little bit about Pathfinder. I mentioned the AI Cloud, and Pathfinder we call a solution, and we have all sorts of solutions at DataRobot. But when we're talking about like something that's tangible, something that's by outcome, this is what we call Pathfinder. Pathfinder got its start actually a year ago. It was about the premise was simple. DataRobot was doing so many things with our customers, really, having huge impact. We wanted to take all of those learnings that we did across all these different industries and verticals and make it available to you so that you could learn from our mistakes, learn from our techniques, and get started in AI. So about, over a year ago, we published hundreds of these use cases. Actually, the easiest way to do is just to search. So I can, let's see, we'll start with games. As a quick search, reducing churn in online sports, or optimizing, how you're going to do your marketing for sports teams. That's literal games as opposed to video games. Or if you want to search for, retail, we have just hundreds of different use cases. Let's check out one of these. For example, let's see, forecasting daily demand by store. So in here, it gets down to the detail, and this is deep, right? This isn't just like, sorry, what I would call marketing fluff. This is actually the data scientists who working really collaboratively to write a recipe, a cookbook for how to, describing what the business problem is, but then how to actually not only solve this, but pitch this business problem to other peers in your industry so that they can be open to actually investing the time it takes to implement it. And then we have the whole recipe of the technical implementation. And this isn't just for forecasting daily demand by store, but it's for hundreds of different applicable use cases in AI. So it's a, like, even a year ago, this was a fantastic place to get started and go in and get started. The biggest advancement that I'm here to talk to you about is what we call solution accelerators. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but yeah, let's jump into that. We call this kind of a 2.0 Pathfinder, or the natural evolution, where instead of just use case articles where you're giving everything you need to get started, now we actually give you ways to see it, to share it, and to instantly make these apps and notebooks that actually do the software that does what you're trying to do. So starting with, for example, notebooks, we have teamed up with Zeppel to Zeppel is our expert data science notebook experience, where we have these notebook solutions for, like, actual notebook solutions for predicting, like, loan defaults in healthcare, in insurance. If we dive into one of these, what I mean by solution or solution accelerator is literally within Pathfinder, no login required, you can actually see how this notebook works. You can see the data that's in it. Of course, down below, you can read about all of the detailed aspects of this business problem of predicting loan defaults. But you can interact with the Zeppel notebook and even open the notebook directly in Zeppel, all free to get started. Here, you would end up needing a quick sign-in, but then you get into Zeppel itself with just a few clicks, and you have the entire notebook to solve that problem right in front of you. Of course, my internet decides to go slow right for this one. And then, so you have the entire notebook to get started, and you can clone this notebook, import your own data, and you have a starting point. You don't have to start from scratch anymore. That's the biggest advancement of these solution accelerators. If we go back to Pathfinder, now notebooks are arguably for folks who like to script, and there's a whole bunch of people and they love that, and that's great. We have an offer for that within the AI cloud. But what about people who don't, like me? I'm not a scripter. I would prefer an app. And so for the same use case of predicting the likelihood of a loan defaulting, we have, again, right in front of you without any login, an actual AI application, which we call the Loan Analysis Intelligence. And again, it's couched with all of the technical implementation you need to make this app yourself. So this is a demonstration, but you can get started, and I'll show you how to get started making this app in a moment. But let's take a look at this app. We'll drill in a little bit here. What is this doing? And I'm going to open this up in a tab here because you can view it either as a full desktop, or I don't know if this will share the resize of the browser, but you can imagine this being on your phone anywhere you are within your industry. So imagine like you're working at a company, large or small, 50 people or 50,000 people, right? And if you're analyzing loans, you're able to create an app that's based on your loan history data, based on what loans have succeeded, what loans have failed, and providing the insights on that data intelligence to your entire teams, to your entire workforce, so that they can make more intelligent decisions. So for example, in this top insight here, we have the average percent of the credit line utilization by the status of the loan. So if the loan defaulted, we can see that they are using a bit more of their credit line utilization versus if the loan didn't default. In some cases, that's critical for analysis. In other cases, that might be, okay, pretty obvious. Average income by status. So we have a slightly higher income for people who don't default. For people who do default, they're averaging around the 60K limit, which might inform some business rules or some way that you review. We have percent of loans defaulting by employment length. So these spread across the different years of how long you've been employed. You can look at it by state. So see like, oh, wow, we have a lot of, in Nebraska, a higher on average percent of loan default for some reason. We could dig in there. But what's interesting, besides just the insights, is you can actually give this a test run. So if I click add new row here, I can put my loan processor hat on, and I can say, okay, what is the revolving usage credit percentage. In this case, let's say that it's 50%. So I'll do 0.5 here. And average income, I'm going to say that this person has $100,000 average income. And what's the state? Let's go for Massachusetts. And of course, in the actual model, there's many more features that you could configure to be as inputs. This is just for example. So what we do when we predict chance of loan defaulting is we actually are talking to a live DataRobot deployment and come up with a prediction. So if we look at the summary here of these past predictions of the exact same inputs that you put in, you can see that this is what we call our feature impact, feature explanation. So it turns out that the employee length is one of the most impactful features that you can have in making a prediction. And in this case, the employment length and the utilization was 0.5, as I put in there, and the annual income was about 20,000. And in this category combination of features, there was a relatively low prediction of loan default. And you can dive into why that is. So this whole app demonstrates the power of putting this AI model in app form and then sharing it within your entire organization, so that your employees and your peers can be and yourself can be informed by data-driven decisions. So Pathfinder 2.0 offers these solution accelerators across many different industry verticals. And we feature some here. We call them app accelerators, but you can go in and find ones for late shipments, for predicting in industry and manufacturing, predicting whether a steel plate is going to fault. Even fantasy baseball, like if we want to apply baseball statistics to making a model to predict who's going to do what. These are all these accelerators that help you get started in AI right away. So it takes that person who I was, where I was in this industry, I wanted to use AI. I have access to a bunch of data. I don't know how to start. And it gives you a tangible thing, not only to see how the end result will be, but also to share that amongst your peers and get the ideas flowing as far as what's possible. From here, let's jump into DataRobot for a moment, because I want to show you how easy it is to make one of these for your own. Now, I will pause by saying you can, when you're starting with the app, let's look at loan defaults for a second. Go back in early payment. That one works as well. This one's a little bit different, but same prediction as far as same industry. And so this is an app, very simple, easy to get started, very intuitive to use. DataRobot has many more features. So at the onset, it can be, whoa, what am I looking at, right? Because this is a full-fledged, full-power, best-in-class AI ML tool. But no worries, part of the AI cloud is onboarding and making this so that literally anyone can navigate and utilize all of the power that's in DataRobot. And I wanted to just call out those other things. We have an outstanding documentation portal with not only API docs and platform docs, but also detailed tutorials on every aspect of our platform and every aspect of AutoML. We have an amazing community where it's super vibrant, which is monitored by our team of hundreds of data scientists. So literally someone asks a question and we swarm it and say, okay, who's the right person to answer it? And we answer it, because we're here to get you going as quickly as possible. So totally utilize this. And we have a DataRobot University where you can get certified, or you can just take some of the entry courses to get in, and they're all there, available, super accessible. This is all part of the AI cloud experience to support you and your organization to get you going really, really quickly. Pathfinder is just part of that ecosystem. So jumping back into DataRobot, you're not alone, right? You can access all of those aspects to get going. In this case, I have already trained, in the AI catalog, we have some of the data that I brought in. We use a data set that we licensed from Lending Club to do some of these examples. And I already trained, picked the target and trained a model. And what we're looking at is the whole list. We call this the leaderboard of models that DataRobot builds for you all automatically, just with one click. And then we have the top model, which I've actually deployed to base the app off of. And all that means is that when I go to my applications, that's just behind the scenes. When I go to the applications, within a few, I made this in literally, 30 minutes or less. We have our loan app. And this is based on the same data that that we were seeing in Pathfinder, but this is kind of a raw version of it. And what we start with is, hey, a way to make predictions and the prediction past results. Let's go a little bit deeper here just to show you how intuitive and simple this is, right? So we go into build mode, and I'm sure most people have used kind of a WYSIWYG editor, and this is, using the best practices from those things. So if I want to, let's say, drag in, make some insights up top here, because I want my peers to get insights from the data right away. So we drag a bar chart in within the panel here. We can go into configure that bar chart, and let's say we have like maybe home ownership as one dimension, and we can compare that to annual income or loan amount or whatever insight that we feel is useful for our audience or for our use case. We don't need to compare. We can also just have single values. So if we can see the trends here, right? So if we go into here and we just want to see, what are the loan amounts that we're doing, on average, that we're seeing when people are using the app and making predictions. What is the average loan amount, right? And we can add lots of these single values and adjust them so that it's the layout that we feel is the most impactful for, I would say, like, peers or the people who are actually using this all the time. So in just a minute, as I was talking, I've added a couple insights, and I can save this. And when we go to consume, this is my app. Of course, I could rename these things and adjust the colors and whatever, but the app is completely responsive and ready to go right away. I just noticed that because I'm showing a window, let me pop this in. There we go. So I think I was sharing a window and you were seeing some of that. So I'm going to add just one more because I know you heard the visual. If we go into build mode of App Builder, we have all of these widgets. Let's add a line press bar. We just literally drag it in. It's like any WYSIWYG. Really don't need a tutorial because it's intuitive. And I'm going to say, like, let's compare home ownership, and we'll go into the measures of annual income and maybe loan amount. And it gives us this adjustment based on people who own, people who rent, and what the loan amount is versus their annual income. So you can start to get some insights on the difference between those two, and maybe use this as a tool for making decisions down the road. If I like this layout, like, let me actually adjust this a little bit. So I want this to be here. I want my average loan amount to be here. And I want this to be spread out because this is more useful. I hit save, and now I'm ready to share this. And I could share this. We can go into permissions, and I can share this either to invited users within my instance, or anyone shared with a link, and that's way I can easily share it. So I want to underscore, I know I've said this a couple of times, but this is an interface where you're actually talking with a highly accurate model based on your data, and you're getting AI powered insights. You're able to ask questions about, based on the grade of the loan, based on the subgrade and grade, what would the model do based on the training, based on past data, and we can see the prediction explanations and what features are having the most impact. And this is all without writing a line of code. So we went a little deep here, but that's to show you connect the dots here between Pathfinder and the solution accelerators that allow you to dream a little bit, allow you to get into, okay, what if I'm into loans, or I'm into late shipments and logistics, and I need to start predicting whether a shipment is going to be late or not because it's costing me money, especially during the holiday season and weather and so on. And you can see what the results might look like. You can see how and visualize and communicate with your teams how you might be able to use this and deploy this within your organization. And not only that, but then you can jump into DataRobot and actually build this app within minutes using all of the guides and tutorials and the AI cloud support to get you going. That's how easy it is. And my call to action for any of you, especially given my story of how, like, I was afraid of AI initially, and then working on something here which makes it so easy for anyone to get started, my call to action would be to try it. Just give yourself 10 minutes to find a search for a use case or a solution accelerator that matches whether you're in healthcare or what have you, and then build this app with DataRobot. See if you can get your hands on some data, even if it's sample data. We can provide sample data for you, and see how easy it is to get started. Invite a friend in and actually jump into AI. We support you. DataRobot is here with the AI cloud to get you going as quickly as possible. At this point, we have just a few minutes left. I'm going to try to look at the questions here to see if there's anything I can answer for people. Thank you for introducing everyone. Great to see we have a worldwide audience. Awesome. And I do totally encourage any of you to reach out directly to me through LinkedIn. Happy to answer your questions about Pathfinder, or to get you a little bit more into DataRobot, or point you in the right direction. Again, we have a whole team here ready to enable you to get you going and find AI success. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and happy sales with AI. Take care.